Hey guys, we're back. This is our second episode. We kind of realized that we never introduced ourselves in the first one, so this is a follow-up.
Our true introduction.
So here we go.
So I'll start. My name is Erica. I am married. I've been married for 13 years now. I knew my husband for a couple of years before that, so we've been together for about 15 years. We have a daughter, which is 13. So if you do the math there, you'll realize that yes, I got married while I was pregnant. I was 6 months pregnant. I do have a son from a previous relationship. My son is 24. So my children are almost 12 years apart, which I always say it was great. I think it gave me the opportunity to have two only children and enjoy them each individually. My kids might say otherwise. They probably wanted siblings, but that's just...
so. I know your kids.
But it's let's see. We also, my husband and I also have a dog. We have a 3-year-old chocolate lab, which is adorable, and she's our baby. I'll let Sana take it from here. So I'll tell you a little bit about her.
Okay, well, I'm actually the oldest sister. I'm 42, so that's going to have to do a lot with my opinions in life. I have 2 children. I have a boy, 11 years old, a daughter, 6 years old, both from 2 different relationships.
But we frown upon that all the time.
Yes, of course. Who does that? But both relationships lasted about 7 to 8 years. So I feel like I've been married all my adult life. But 2 different baby daddies. I am single now. I'm raising my 2 kids. And
you had a pet fish?
And I had a pet fish named Diabetes, and I think we kind of cursed it with that name, so it passed away already. And I cannot have pets because I can barely handle 2 kids, so a pet is having another child, and yeah, not ready for that. But both my kids, 5 years apart, very different personalities, and at the same time very similar. They're fun to have around. They'll give you a day's worth. So.
We were raised by a single mom. We are also from, our siblings are also from, we don't share the same father. Sana and I do. We're the only 2 that do. There's a total of 4 of us. But I don't know that we ever grew up or even now think of it as something bad or that we're not siblings. We are all still siblings. I was the middle child. Sana and I are very close in age, though. For a whole week, we are the same age.
Yes.
So I'm 41. Then we have a younger sister, which is almost 3 years younger than me.
Yes.
And it was the 3 of us growing up. I definitely have middle child syndrome.
Yes.
And then when I was 14, were you
14 and I was 15. Yeah.
My mom had another baby.
Menopause baby. People, if you're going through menopause, please, if you didn't...
Still be careful.
Yes, take birth control.
Yes. So we lived with my stepdad for about 10 years. They were together for about 10 years. So it is a total of 4 of us, the 3 of us girls, and then my brother, who was the baby. My mom ended too old, and I started too young.
Yeah.
So my brother and my son are 2 years apart.
Yes, and yeah, my mom had her last baby at 46, and I had my first child 31, and then the second one at 36. So because of Erica having her baby at 16, we were all fully traumatized.
Yes.
And that was our birth control for a long time.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Yes. And I did it all for them.
Yes. Youngest sibling, no kids. My brother, youngest brother,
has 4. So we laugh about how my mom went from having 1 grandbaby because my son was the only grandbaby for almost 12 years to now having a total of 8 grandkids,
Yes.
and half of those are my brothers.
Kids.
So he's the baby maker.
Yes.
I think I can safely say that Sana and I are done.
Yes.
We
surgically fixed that problem.
But I do want another puppy, so that's, just to put that out in the universe.
I don't. No.
We are Latinas. We are first generation here, so we did grow up with a mom that did not know English.
Yes.
And I think it's definitely different, not just in being Latina, but in any ethnicity. If you're first generation here, it definitely makes a difference. If your parents don't speak English or don't speak it clearly, then you kind of become their voice. But it also, I think, changes you.
Yes.
Or, we realize, I think now that I have kids, I realize how different it was for me than it will be or it is for them.
Definitely. And because you do grow up in a sense of trying to identify yourself. You grow up, I personally, identifying yourself as Mexican because your mom came here. My mom came here from Mexico, only spoke Spanish, and you're raised that you're Mexican. So you kind of try to identify as American. You try to find that voice of I'm also an American. And it's a little bit harder because you also don't want to back away from your culture because it's a certain defiance to it. You're kind of rebelling against it if you do.
I think it's definitely harder. I think it's you see yourself trying to fit in, whether it be to your Mexican side or to your American side, and I think when you meet someone that is from, in our case, Mexico, then you're quickly reminded that you're not a Mexican. I personally feel like the first time we went to Mexico, and we didn't go as kids. A lot of first generation kids go a lot. We didn't. My mom, it was 26 years or something like that before she went back. And when we all went back, I think it was very clear that they didn't see us as Mexicans.
Yeah. So I believe that in our podcast, you are gonna hear a lot of references to that.
Yes.
Because a lot of our opinions and thoughts are because we were first generation and we were raised by a Mexican single mother.
Yes, I think a lot of it has to do with being raised by a single mother.
Yes, and we were poor.
Oh, so, yeah, that's another thing that played a huge part in our childhood.
So you will also hear our opinions being based on that, being raised on welfare, being raised on government cheese and powdered milk, and a lot may identify with it, and a lot will just kind of,
I think even now when I hear someone say, oh, well, we were poor when we were kids, and then they're talking about the cable show that they were watching, and I'm like, no, wait, you were not poor. Let me remind you that you were not poor, because if you had cable, and even if you were stealing it, like some people that used to steal it, then you originally had money to pay someone to go do that to your cable. But so we didn't have cable.
Yeah,
we didn't know what MTV was until we were adults.
Yes, and my son will tell you that he's poor, but he's playing with his Nintendo Switch as he's telling you. So a lot of people might not understand what that is, and the same way we might not understand what someone that went through worse times.
Yeah, because I know that's out there. We did always have a roof over our head.
Mm-hmm.
We were never hungry, even if we weren't eating what we wanted to be eating. So we were still okay.
Yes. So a lot of our opinions are based on that, and we hope that you guys kind of take that into consideration when you're listening to us. And a lot of the show is made because of that. We perceived life in such a way that it has taken us this long to kind of notice that there's a different way of seeing things. That people just simply do not realize what's important to us might not be as important to them.
I think even amongst each other, even amongst our siblings, it's you realize, like, I always think, maybe not my brother, because my brother grew up in a different time, and so it was a little different for him than it was for us and for our younger sister. growing up. It was definitely different, and the three of us who were both raised by the same single mother, under the same circumstances, I feel are all three
different,
very different, and that's why I always say it's you don't know what affected who in which way, because something that in no way affected me could have affected you, could have affected our younger sister. It's just, we never know. I always like to say that I didn't have daddy issues. It didn't bother me that I didn't have a dad, and that I still to a certain point feel that it didn't bother me. But at the end of the day, if you ask anybody, the first thing they'll probably tell you is yeah, you were pregnant.
Yeah.
As a teenage mother, so it obviously affected you in some way.
And I think it's seeing now the new generation and seeing our kids and thinking, look at the issues we're giving our kids and how different things can be seen. We've known people that are alcoholics raising kids that grow up to be alcoholics, yet that same family can have a child that's totally against it because of what they saw. So there's like the two different sides to one same problem.
Yes, and that's I think that's another reason why it's important for you guys to know how old we are, is because I also feel that has a lot to do with it. You're not gonna see this or know this until you get to a certain point in life, and I think that's why we like to tell people. We were just talking about that this morning. We don't want to judge people just because we want to sit there and judge people. I think we truly feel that we want to help them or keep them from doing something that's going to screw up their lives even more than they already have, or just we can help you be better because we've been there.
It's like judgment with good intention. We want to be able to stop you from driving over the cliff, but
we just maybe need to be nicer, softer about it, because then people don't take it that way.
But at this age also, and I always tell people I love my age, because you know how they do say as you age you grow wiser. You definitely do. Anybody who doesn't I don't know, they're doing life wrong. You should be wiser at a certain age, and
that's what people say. If I would have known then what I know now, it's so true. If you think about it, even at 20, if it was, or 25, if at 20 you would have known what you know at 25, because I still truly believe that 25 is the defining age, and if your 20-year-old self knew that, you would be so different. So I think all we're trying to do is let you know ahead of time.
And I think that's what every older person at one point does, and it's so hard to realize what can we do for you not to go through this. But if you are already going through it, then how can we help you? Because a lot of the times, a lot of things that we go through, we don't get out of that situation because no one ever offered the solution. Because I don't want to tell you because I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I don't want to tell you because you don't want to take my advice. I don't want to. There's so many why I don't want to speak up. But if I'm going through a situation and someone speaks up, I always say, ignore my face, because my face is going to be discontent. Like, why are you noticing my mistakes? But at one point or another, I'll be sitting alone and I'll take it into consideration. So our things is to say, look, this is what happens in life. This is what we've seen. So if you need help, if you truly want it, these are the steps that might help you.
This is what you can do.
Or
I think sometimes even saying, this is why you're feeling that way. You're feeling that way because this is how you grew up, or you're feeling that way because this is what you're doing.
And a lot of it has to do with how you grew up, who you grew up with, and all the voices. They say choose your circle. A lot of times we fight to no, I can be with people who don't have jobs and are depressed, and that. Well, you're not going to get out of it.
It's not going to bring me down. But a lot of the times it will.
You're including your circle of friends.
I hang out with a lot of young people because it makes me feel younger.
And she thinks she's young, so if you see her at a club,
that's me. That's me. But I'll just be wearing like super comfortable shoes instead of like high heels.
And I want to find a club where I can go in sweats and I go in pajamas.
Well, sweats are kind of coming back. Like
Yes.
maybe if you do like joggers.
Oh yeah, I can do that. And heels.
Sweats and heels. Oh yeah, I think Kim Kardashian does that, so we could do that. Or biker shorts or something.
I don't think I can do biker shorts, but
yeah, it does change who you are. I think again, our being first generation here, knowing that we had to help my mom with so much, and Sana definitely more so than me. I think that affected her probably more than it affected me, because I remember having to help my mom and doing all those things, but never to the extent that Sana was doing it. I'm not really sure what I was doing. Hopefully I was taking care of our younger sister. I don't even know. For a lot of our childhood, I think we forget that she was there. Yeah, I'm not even sure. But she was there in pictures, so obviously my mom didn't give her away.
Yes.
So she was there, and but we just forget about that.
But it does. And maybe that also, in the bright side, made us all mature.
Yes.
Faster than most. I always tell people, Erica was a single mother and she didn't keep having children. It wasn't seen like, well, now I'm a single mother. Mm-hmm. It's easy to just get pregnant again. I think, all in a different sense, well, except my brother. We never count him, and when I say we, in a different sense, see having children very difficult. And maybe because we did grow up having so much responsibility that we didn't want to have kids to give them the same responsibility, or not let them be kids. Because in a sense, you lose your childhood because you do have to translate, fill out papers. Parents' conference is really just you and the teacher having the conference.
Yes, and then translating for your mom.
Giving your mom a summary.
And knowing that, I think part of it is maybe parents not understanding, and maybe a lot of parents still don't understand that. But to me, it's just not, our children didn't choose to be born into what they were born into. And as parents, I think we need to understand that. We need to realize that. We need to not put that burden, whatever the burden may be, on them. I remember when I got pregnant with my daughter, the first thing I thought of was, there's in no way do I want my son to feel like he's now going to need to help. So my son never changed a diaper, never even handed me a diaper. He never made a bottle. He didn't know how to do that. It was never, watch your sister because I need to do this. No, it was my responsibility. I chose to have a baby. All he needed to do was be a big brother. He just needed to enjoy having a sibling finally, since that's what he wanted. And so that's what I let him do. I don't like when I see like, oh, go make me the bottle, or go get me a diaper, or you have some of these kids that even know how to change a diaper, and that's so not okay, and at least not in my eyes. I would never want for my children to feel that responsibility. I think once they've gotten older, once they get older, then yes, they do. My son does watch our daughter for us, and by the time he turned 18, then he did have to know that if anything ever happened to me or my husband, that he would be responsible for his sister. And that is, but that's already because you're grown. You're able to have that weight on your shoulders. Yeah. If anything ever happened, but it's definitely not when they're kids. I wouldn't want them to have to go through that.
And I think it's that. I think I was just telling somebody, if you say, if parenting is easy, or it doesn't scare you to have more, and there's of course a lot of parents who have 6 children and they're doing a wonderful job, but if parenting, even them, if they say, oh, this was a breeze, and then you're not doing something right, because it's not easy. It is the hardest job you will ever have. And also, once again, we're not saying like we're great parents. We learn with our mistakes, I think. And even in my case, I've done a lot of mistakes, especially with my son, who's the oldest, and then to have to tell him, you know what, I'm messing up, so let's change it. And we're constantly changing how we do things. But I also see so many people just having kids to have kids.
Yeah, and that's I think the thing. I think if parents or people started thinking I can't just have kids to have kids. I need to realize that it's my responsibility to create a functional, good human being and an adult as an adult. And you can't do that if you have six. I mean, it's going to be pretty darn hard. At least I don't get it. And props to you people who are out there and have six kids. But I personally wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to give that attention, the same attention that I give one kid to six. You know, I don't think I would have been able to do that. And I think we were, for a long time, everyone was telling us, like, you guys need to have, for some reason, they felt my husband and I should just have tons of children. And no, how do you send them all to college?
Yeah.
How do you, I mean, at least we don't have it like that, you know, and how do you pay attention to all of them and make sure that they're all functional and that they're all great people, and that'd be way too hard.
Yeah, and this is probably has a lot to do with being children of a single mother, because at the same point we're saying we're not saying parents. I'm talking about our own. As myself, I could only say I need to be able to parent. How many kids can I parent? Mm-hmm. How many kids what can I do? And then fathers need to ask themselves that question more than mothers. But we're not at any point saying a single mother is better, a marriage is better. It's just, how can you taking responsibility for yourself as a parent? Because a lot of the times we want to blame it on a lot of things. And I think we're just talking about this subject right now because we're bringing up that we were raised by a single mother. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things could be that we do have daddy issues or abandonment issues.
I'm sure.
But we were also raised, at the end of the day, by a mother who in a lot of things did not do so good.
No,
but
that'll be a whole other episode.
Yeah, but she was a very strong single mother. And therefore, having children was always a subject of how many kids could you have, I think. Yeah. I think my mom, in one way or another, even though she had 4, always mentions, like, why do people have so many kids?
But I think that alone, I remember when it was the 3 of us, and then when my mom said, you know, she was going to have a baby, we were like, oh my God, that's so many kids. Yes. 4. And now it's like, that's not that many kids. When I hear that people have 3 kids, I'm like, man, you have a lot of kids. Yes. And people are like, oh, well, it's only 3. And it's like, oh, well, I guess, you know, 2 is 1 less. But then I also never really had 2 little kids together. No. So, you know, it is very different for me. I don't think I would have been able to have them like back to back. I would have given 1 away for sure. I also, like 90% of women, did not plan my children. So that, I think, will tell you a lot about me, even though I'm a planner. I plan everything. I plan everything. Yes. But I did not plan either of my children. So one day they listen to this, oh no.
But I think even me having, well, I only have 2 kids. And as soon as somebody tells me I have 3 kids, I'm like, oh my God, so are you going to come with all the kids? Yes. Like
we've told Sana that. I mean, I've told her that before. Like, oh my God, we're going to have all the kids. It's just her 2 and my 1. It's only 3. Yes. And we still feel like, oh yeah, that's a lot of kids. And now we've had my brother come with his 4 kids, and his are little. So we have I have 24, 13, and then there's 11, 6, and then he has 6, 4, 3, 2.
Okay.
4, 3, 2, something like that. 2 of them overlap at some point. But
different mamas.
Yeah, different baby mama. But yeah, so now having all of those kids at once under one roof, chaos. And it is to
crazy.
To us, it's chaos.
He has made the beer company richer because I have to be drunk to be able to be in the same house.
And I think my mom raised us where we were not allowed to do a lot. We were very calm. My aunts always used to say that my mom would get to family functions with her 3 dolls because, you know, we didn't move. We had to be dressed perfectly and our hair done right. And I'm very much like that.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm the only one that's like that. My sister is not, my brother is not, and so it's a lot of like running and jumping, and I'm all about kids should not be heard unless maybe we're at a park, you know. So
they're heard.
Yeah, they are heard. My neighbors have probably heard them. Sanna's neighbors have definitely heard them.
My neighbors have, and if you ever meet my daughter, you will have to sit and listen to her because she has a lot to say. So
she does.
So she definitely social, definitely loud, definitely noisy.
And I don't think my kids are anti-social.
No, they're not anti-social. They're just proper.
They're not very yes, and they're just not like running and screaming, I guess.
Until they get to be 18, and then I'm sure somewhere in their dorm, my nephew went crazy, screaming and jumping in his
maybe he
sofa.
jumped, maybe he jumped and stuff.
Sure.
But I met his now girlfriend, and she was telling us about how she was a really like those kids that would run and like crazy. I'm imagining, and how a shelf at a store once came down and like hit her and like all this stuff, and we were like really standing there trying to think of a crazy story about my son when he was little, and there was nothing.
No.
One time he fell in the kitchen.
Oh no.
Yeah, he did.
I think my kids will have. And then you know what? They don't really have that many accidents as you would have thought at this point they would have had. But
yeah, no one's had a broken bone.
No. I think my daughter has a scar in her knee that she split her skin in her knee twice. Yeah. So that's there forever. But besides that,
no broken bones.
No broken bones. And that's another story too. Like I won't go to urgent care for nothing. So if it has to be cured at home. If I have to go to urgent care,
she just puts
then
vapor rub.
Problem. Yes.
She puts vapor rub on everything.
Like, that's a Mexican.
She definitely does that. And I do it like when my daughter is sick. I do like put the vapor rub on her chest. And stuff. But probably only to please my husband, just because he's also very like that. Like put vapor rub on it.
No,
and that's also probably a first generation problem.
Everyone has had a cold, and I was telling my mom this morning, hey, I was feeling a sore throat, drank 3 cups of real orange juice, because there's a fake one, and 4 Advils. I don't want to promote them, but and guess what? I'm perfectly fine when everybody else has been going through a cold.
Well, they also make this thing called Airborne. Don't want to promote them either, but we will. Airborne Emergency.
No, I can drink all the vitamin C from orange juice, and it's cheaper. It's like $3.
That's definitely one way that we differ.
Yes.
I don't do medication. But I also don't do a lot of home remedies.
Oh, I
don't know what I do, because I think you do both.
Yeah, I think I do both.
I don't know what I do when my kids are sick. I do a lot of airborne. I do love airborne, but
no, don't report
but not
me
like
or anything.
not like drink tea or go get the aloe vera.
Oh yeah,
because you have one. Because we're Mexican, so we all have one, right? And go get it and split it open and put it on your whatever it is that you have, and it's gonna go away and all that stuff. But okay, so now hopefully you get a little more a feeling or a sense of who we are and what we're about. But the more you listen to us, and the more you'll get to know us and be able to tell who's who.
And we'll always start with an intention of a format to this podcast.
Yes.
And we'll always end up with something else. So either you like us or you hate us for that. It's gonna go either way. But
so remember, follow us on Instagram at Sisters with a Y, and we are now also on Twitter, also at Sisters
with a Y.
With a Y. Are we Sisters with a Y on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay, so Sisters with the Y. So you do have to do the whole thing. So SYSTERS. So we will end this with a quote. It's better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. Until next time, question you soon.
Bye.